Got to go back to college and show you the defending national champs. Kansas looking to be the first team to repeat since my Gators did it back in 06-07. Norm Roberts patrolling the sideline for Kansas. Yeah, we're going to talk Gators whenever we can. Bill Self suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Omaha couldn't hang there. Kevin McCullough Jr. lobs it up to Ernest Uday. He throws it down. Jayhawks up by 15. Next possession, more dunk party. Okay. Grady Dick throwing it down. Jayhawks up 17. They win 89-64.
Okay, one of the better teams in the SEC, not named Florida, of course. Kentucky, number 4 in the land, rightfully so. Calipari and the crew, no Oscar Tshiebwe sitting out in this one, but still too much for Howard. My home team not looking too good. That's usually the case. Jacob Toppin there with the putback. Kentucky up 7. He finished with 15 points, 11 boards, first career double-double. Late in the half, though, Wildcats up 16. Check that out. Antonio Reeves gets up and under. Wildcats up 19 after the free throw. They take a 23-point lead into the break, then up 28 here. Oh, just playing games. Up to Lance Ware and throws it down. Check it out again. Kentucky up 30. UK had fun in the second half. 16 forced turnovers. Defense was the key. And then what about some offense here? Reeves here, pulling from outside. Wildcats up 34. We're going to win this one 95-63. Check out the big fella on the bench. Loving it. Tshiebwe's like, oh yeah, let me sit back down. I'm not playing yet. Game high 22 for Reeves, 8 for 16, career high after winning that one. Of course, not everybody played last night on opening night. Some more debuts we're waiting for. At least 5 potential NBA draft lottery picks. Arkansas's freshman Nick Smith Jr. there, Duke's Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead, Villanova's Cam Whitmore, and UCLA's Adem Bona. Now, 4 of the 5 missed Monday's games due to injury, while Bona, of course, was held out due to NCAA issues. College basketball is back, so Matt Norlander and Adam Finkelstein there checking in on HQ this morning. Guys, I'm a little excited, of course. A lot we just saw there on opening night. But, Matt, overall, I'll start with you. Season tipping off, what did you see last night, and what are you trying to catch the rest of the year here?
Yeah, last night, obviously, we had no high-profile matchups. That's a function of the coaches who are a bit cowardly. It's also the calendar landed this. We obviously are on Tuesday, Election Day, so there was kind of a push at the NCAA level to not have games on Tuesday here if you didn't want to. So the slate on Tuesday is very light. Now, because of that, almost everyone played on Monday night, and we did get to see all these teams in action, albeit many of them not against high-profile competition. I have to note, Florida State did get knocked off at home by Stetson. That's the biggest upset. TCU played one of the worst teams in the country, according to Ken Palm, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and was one shot away from getting upset at home. That would have been the biggest headline. But overall, I wanted to see what Villanova looked like without Jay Wright. They composed themselves fairly well against LaSalle. Obviously, they didn't have Cam Whitmore, their stud, projected one-and-done freshman. I wanted to see Duke under John Shire. Also shorthanded, no Derek Lively, no Derek Whitehead, the 2 highest-rated prospects per 247 Sports in the class there. So they looked pretty good. They got a little bit of a challenge from Jacksonville, but I'm thrilled college hoops is finally here. It's different from every other major American team sport we talk about in that the storylines run so much deeper. The NFL has 32 teams, NBA has 30, MLB the same, hockey the same, and college football might have 30 to 40 teams that really give us a reason to talk or respond or react to in a given season. College basketball has 363 teams, but in a given season, anywhere between 70 to 80 to even 90 of them will give us stuff to talk about, upsets worth watching, and that's even before we get to March. So I'm really, really excited, and I can't wait to see how this unfolds, because even though this week is kind of slow, Adam, as you well know, later into November, we actually have a fairly stacked month where pretty much every single ranked team will be playing a minimum of one other ranked team, and we should get a lot of answers by the time we get to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think, the point is that everybody says college basketball doesn't really start until midway through the winter. Well, we didn't, as a college basketball community, see that change last night. Opening night should be an opportunity to make an impression with the fans, with the greater audience, to expand your audience. That didn't happen last night. So while people like us are thrilled that college basketball is back for the first time in 7 months, there weren't enough of those big-time matchups. There weren't enough of the big-time players playing, quite frankly. Now, obviously, that's just bad luck. You saw the graphic a couple minutes ago. But the most notable one-and-done prospects, not to mention Oscar Tshiebwe and Amani Bates, two of the more notable names, whatever you may think about them, in college basketball. Nobody played last night. So the headlines are, I mentioned another one. Matt talked about one of the upsets, Pat Chambers and Florida Gulf Coast with a big win over USC. But these are not national headlines this morning. And so I think college basketball really missed an opportunity to make an opening night splash. And I'll also mention this, because of Election Day today, every single NBA team played last night, all 30 NBA teams. So not only were there not any big college basketball matchups, but you were also competing with a completely full slate of NBA games.
Plenty to watch, of course, as you guys both mentioned there. Matt, I want to come back to you. No Jay Wright, we know that at Villanova, but now we got Cal Neptune at the helm, gets his first win, as you mentioned here. Thoughts on his debut and how he looked out there on the sideline?
Well, he looked great. Kyle Neptune, he's not going to go full three-piece suit, although Jay Wright ditched that in the final couple of years of his tenure as well. We can't wait to see him on CBS, where we know he will be dressed to the nines on your television coming later this season there. I thought Neptune did a good job. I spoke with him on multiple occasions in the preseason, and this is going to be an interesting challenge here. I guarantee you he was nervous, not just because he was coaching at Villanova for the first time. He obviously did a great job turning around a Fordham program that was tremendously terrible the season before. But you're going up against Fran Dunphy, who's coaching at LaSalle now, his alma mater. And Fran Dunphy is a Big Five Philadelphia basketball legend. And you do not want to open your Villanova tenure with a loss. And I can guarantee you that while he was optimistic his Wildcats pull it out, going against Dunphy in that spot is certainly a bit nerve-wracking there. I'll be intrigued to see what Villanova is going to be this season. Again, they did not have Justin Moore, who's recovering from the Achilles, and he obviously didn't have Cam Whitmore there. I think they'll be a factor in the Big East, but I actually don't think Villanova will wind up winning the Big East.
Praising a legend there in Jay Wright. On the flip side, Adam John Shire, of course, taking over for Coach K at Duke. He's also 1-0. Didn't have Lively or Whiteheaded, but your thoughts on what you saw last night?
You know what I thought was most interesting? Two things. In terms of what we saw from Shire on the sideline, I thought you saw a very calm demeanor. You saw that same positivity that he's been known with as a recruiter. And there it is right there, that kind of trademark smile. And you saw it consistently last night. Now, the opening few minutes were pretty close. Duke ended up pulling away down the stretch of the first half, and then they kept that going in the second half. From a style of play perspective, one of the things that I thought was very interesting is that they started three bigs. Even with Lively out of the lineup, they started Filipowski, Mark Mitchell, and Ryan Young, the grad transfer from Northwestern. I was interested to see what implications that would have on their spacing. I thought their spacing got better when they went to the bench, and they started to move the ball a little bit more freely along the three-point line. But if Filipowski and Mitchell are both making shots, and they both made threes last night, that's going to be really important to Duke's ability to play with space, because again, Lively wasn't even in the lineup. So when he comes back, you've essentially got four big men who you're trying to fit in that lineup, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that rotation goes. I think that kind of subplot is one of the more interesting challenges John Shire faces, because you've got three high-profile freshmen and then a grad transfer who's an exceptional college basketball player. He might not be a great NBA prospect, but it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor. So I thought last night was a good opening first step in terms of figuring out that dynamic.
Blue Bloods off to a good start there with Shire and Neptune at the helm. Before I let you guys go, Matt, the comeback story of the year already happened. Keyontae Johnson back on the basketball court, former Florida basketball player, now Kansas State. Your thoughts on him returning to court in almost 2 years?
Yeah, sports fans remember that one of the scariest moments we've seen in any sport in recent memory was when Keyontae Johnson collapsed in the middle of a game when he played for Florida against Florida State in December of 2020. He was never cleared to play again at Florida. This was obviously tremendous. Kansas State is projected to be a bottom of the Big 12 kind of team this season under first-year coach Jerome Tang, a longtime assistant at Baylor. But to have Johnson back, he played 22 minutes, scored 13 points. Certainly a wonderful sight to see, and provided that he can stay on the floor for the remainder of the season, and Kansas State has obviously cleared him, he will be one of the bigger stories. You'll hear more from him and see a lot more about that in the coming months, because frankly that's the most enticing thing about Kansas State's program this season.
And you know what? I just like the fact that he played in the flow and didn't really force it. He had an efficient, I think it was 23 minutes. He made threes. He impacted winning without dominating the ball. I thought he let the game come to him. So a really solid showing from Johnson and a big win to start the new era in Kansas State.
All right, of course, the first time on the court since December of 2020, 13 points that you guys mentioned there. Matt and Adam, appreciate it. Always catch everything in college hoops. The Eye of College Basketball podcast. Hoops is back. Matt and Gary Parrish nailing it out. Norlander talking to Leaky Black. Also, the guys set the table for the Final Four already in title picks. Download and give them a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.